Hey y'all, it's Queen J back with another episode. We are on episode 13, and this topic is going to be all about balancing your identities with your unhealed self versus who you are currently, wherever you are at in your stage of healing. And, before we get into our topics and before we introduce the guest star that I have for you guys joining us today, we are going to do a little bit of mindfulness, just to center our minds and be ready to learn about navigating healing in this lifetime. Pause, breathe, relax. It is now time to open our mind, to be open to navigating new ways about healing within this lifetime. It is now time to set our minds at ease and be receptive to all new things. All right, y'all. I hope that brought y'all some stillness. I hope that set y'all minds at ease because, like I said, it always sets mine at ease. Without further ado, I want to introduce someone really, really special to me, my bestie, Antwonn.
What's up?
How have you been?
I've been fantastic.
That is awesome. So I know we said we're going to talk about balance. So I want to ask you one thing to just kick this off. How would you say that you feel balanced right now, or do you feel like you're in a space of balance right now in your life?
Definitely in a space of balance.
Okay.
I kind of see my balancing as like a scale almost.
Ooh.
I kind of some days are good, some days are bad, but the good tends to always outweigh the bad because coming into balancing myself, I'm just kind of realizing that, bad stuff does not last forever. It does not last all the time. And I really can have more good days if I really allow myself to have them. If I really allow myself to put myself in a mindset to be able to have those good days. And that's not me saying, oh, everybody got to be able to, just think about having a good day and boom, you have a good day. It's not that simple.
Not that simple.
And I know that it's not that simple.
That is actually really powerful because as someone who's been thinking about the way that I balance my life now, I tend to think about the negative before I think about the positive. Like this entire week, I have been having a battle with my own anxieties over moving, over like just my life in general. And my mom straight up told me yesterday, she's like, "You are panicking for no reason. You are overthinking for no reason. Everything is fine, girl." And I'm like, "Oh, I get, it's like, oh, I guess you're right." And I realized that within my balance, I've come to the realization that a lot of my anxiety comes out as irritability. So like, and it's not necessarily towards the other person or a situation. It's more so towards myself. Like, how did I get in this situation? Why am I this anxiety? Why I got this anxiety and my mind is running a mile a minute?
Yeah.
And I can't. That's when I have to really like breathe. That's when I realize like, oh, my shoulders are up here. And in order for me to get my balance, I have to breathe and I have to really say, that's not really what this is. That's what your brain is telling you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the reality.
Right.
So that's a good way to think of it, especially like shifting that focus and saying like, okay, this bad moment, this is bad. We're going to validate that. And this is actually happening, but we don't have to hold on to it. That type of thing. Like,
yeah.
But that can be a little hard to release, I think, sometimes.
I agree. Because I mean, it like I said, it's easy to hold on to bad stuff.
It is, and I don't know why it's so easy for us to. Maybe because I don't know. Every time I think about it, I always think about. There was a point in my healing where I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was always like, I was so reluctant to letting good things happen to me that I was like, nah, that ain't good. That's actually not good. And I'm just going like, even though it actually was good.
Yeah.
I think we get so conditioned in, especially if we've experienced a lot of trauma.
Yes.
We get conditioned to think, oh, you bad. I'm not even going to give you a chance type of thing. And then that's where we don't have that equilibrium anymore.
Right. And if I piggyback off of that,
Mm-hmm.
bringing back up, if we feel like we've been through a lot of trauma,
Yeah.
sometimes our brains will convince us that we
Woo!
do not deserve to have good things happen to us.
Let's talk about it. Let's get
And-
uncomfortable, y'all.
And child, the thing that kind of helped me
Mhm.
realize in my healing journey that my brain having always told me you don't deserve this good thing happening to you. The thing that really kind of clicked for me was when I watched an episode of Abbott Elementary a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And the character Tyler James Williams, I think he plays the teacher Greg on the show.
Yeah,
Okay.
he do. I watch it.
There was an episode where I think they brought like chicken eggs or hen eggs in.
Yes, that's the same episode that I just watched.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, and he said that the fact is some people get chickens and some people get snakes.
And when you continue to get snakes,
yes,
that's what you feel like you
that's
deserve.
what you feel like you deserve.
And I remember when I heard that for the first time, I had to pause the episode because I was like,
I did too.
I was like, wait a minute. Light bulb moment. Like it was clicking. Like more stuff started clicking.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, have I really been telling myself for so many years within my childhood, like I don't deserve good stuff just because good stuff. I mean, just because I watched other people get good stuff and I never really got the same amount of good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? You know?
And I realized that in my own too, when I was thinking about it from the perspective of there was a time when I first started healing, when I first started going to therapy, when I first started doing all this, I was like, no, this is not it. But it was my lifeline at that point. At that point, I didn't have any other option.
Right.
And I had told my stepmother, like, okay, look, I'm done. Like at this point, you know, and she was like, she was trying to get me to see that was when you needed to seek help. If you feel like you're at that level of like, okay, I'm done, like I just give up.
Right.
You have to seek help because you can't do it yourself at that point.
Exactly.
And I was so confused at that point because I was like 19 at the time. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, if you want to harm yourself in any way, at that point, you're no longer a safe option for you. So somebody else got to step in and you got to allow yourself to get that better life. If that's what you know what I mean? If that's what you're going after, you got to allow yourself. Because at this point, you done already told me you done.
Yeah.
So how are you supposed to get to the other side if you done?
Right. How can you become your own safety again?
How can you become your own safety again? And I was like, okay, fine. Because I was like, look, I am going to go back to school and find these resources. She was like, no, you ain't waiting till you go back. You're doing it now. Yeah. So I did it. And when I got back on campus, I had my first session. And I just remember like spewing all of this negative energy and just like talking about all the things that I had experienced and all the things that was going on with me at the time. And I remember thinking like, damn, this is all I've known.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if that's all you know, then you don't know anything different. So when something good comes along and it's actually healthy and it's beneficial, it seems scary because it's like, I don't know what this road is gonna lead to.
Yeah, like
I can expect the worst because I've dealt with worse.
Right.
But when it comes to healthy, it's like, what is this? This is unknown territory, you know. But like you said, if you feel that that's all you deserve, that's all you're gonna keep getting. Because it's all about shifting that mindset, that perspective. I swear, that's when I really started to heal. When I shifted my mindset to, oh no, I don't need to be dealing with the trauma today.
Me too.
I don't need to carry it. I don't need to hold it in. Oh my gosh, I know I probably talked about this on one of my episodes, but I used to give warning labels to people. I don't know if you did that.
I probably did it subconsciously, not even realizing that that's what I was doing.
Like whenever someone new came in my life, I would be like, "Don't fuck with me. You don't want to fuck with me. I'll mentally fuck you up. I'm fucked up mentally," or some type of type of cry for help, but you don't realize you're doing it.
I definitely
didn't have balance.
I definitely used to do that. I did it more in my early to mid teens. It was kind of my way of making sure that people kind of stayed like one step ahead of themselves when it came to me. Like
I know, like I know your tricks.
Right. Like I might do or say some shit that's gonna make you go, what is he on?
Mm-hmm.
So like that's why I was like, that's why I had those same warning labels.
I would do that too.
Yeah.
But I think I got so accustomed with viewing myself from a different light of being unbalanced and being so like oblivious as my family, as my not good family was saying, and like all of those things. You internalize that. You may not even like actually try to internalize it, but if you're told that and you're conditioned in that way at such a very, very young age,
yeah,
it's bound to happen. It's gonna come out in different ways.
Right.
And that's something that like where I say that we have to balance our unhealed self with who we are now.
Right.
Because that unhealed self is still a part of us. It's not like the unhealed version of us just goes away once we begin to heal and grow. We have to shed it, yes.
Right.
But it's still a part of our story. It doesn't have to become the main focus of our identity, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
It is not the climax of who we are.
Exactly.
It is not. But it is all like you said, it is very important to maintain the relationship between healed and unhealed, because unhealed is what leads to healed.
Yes.
I mean, wounds don't stay wounds forever. I mean, they
That's
do close
true.
and become scars, but how you dress those scars, that is up to you.
That is true. You want to talk a little bit more about that? Because I like the way you said that. No, I like the way you said that. That was a good little. I like that. I want to know more. That was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of, I kind of thought of that one on the fly. I won't lie, but it does apply. The way you dress your scars, that is up to you. I mean, shit. I mean, if I use the actual like body and scars as an example, when people get hurt, you know, if they get a cut on they, like if I get a cut on my thumb, I'm gonna bleed. I see that as I see that almost as, okay, that was trauma inflicted.
Yes, there you go. That was trauma
inflicted. The healing is all the tiny little cells in my little thumb that are working to create a little scab that's gonna cover up where the open one was. That's the healing journey. That's the
healing part.
And that is the part that we cannot disrupt. We have to do everything we can to continue to let it heal.
But guess what? A lot of the times when you got a scar, what do? You pick at it.
We pick at it.
We pick at it. We don't. And that's the same thing that I think that we subconsciously do within our healing. Because at least for me, like I said, balancing that unhealed versus healed, I have healed from these areas, but there was a point in time where I was like, nah, I'm really angry with myself for allowing myself to be subjected to this thing for 3 years or so on and so forth. But I was talking about this with my therapist, and I said I was really, really angry, and she was like, is it guilt? Is it shame? Like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
And I said, I think it's more so me being pissed with how did the person that I am now allow that to happen? You know what I mean? Like, how could that be? You know? And she was like, but the thing is, that's your unhealed self. The person that they met was your unhealed self.
Yeah.
So that's why that was able to happen, because you're healed in that area. You're not going to allow yourself to go through that again, you know?
Right.
And that's where the forgiveness, or I guess when you give yourself grace, that's where that comes in. Because when we picking at it, we're not giving ourselves grace. We're not giving ourselves time to actually process and deal with it. We're just like, no, I don't want to feel it. I just want to rip it off.
Right.
And that doesn't help. That actually makes it worse.
Right.
In a lot of ways, for sure. I think that's very interesting. The scales is actually my sign, like so it's interesting that you said that. It's really interesting that you said that.
I mean, it when you think of a scale, you think of balance.
You do truly think of balance.
And you think, okay, if one side has more on top of it, that side is obviously going to weigh down a little bit more. And the way that I've always seen scales is, if one side has more stuff on it and it goes down further, that just means that side should be the main focus. That side should definitely be the main focus. If I have a lot more good stuff going on in my life, if I pack all this good stuff on the good side of my scale, and I can see the good stuff starting to weigh down on my scale. I want to focus on that. I want to keep that, and I want to maintain that for as long as I possibly can.
How do you maintain your balance? Or how do you think you maintain your balance? Do you think, because a lot of the times, I know it's not one set thing. Like it could be like a routine. It could be like I go here, we do. You know what I mean? So, how does that work for you?
I think having the conversation with little me, with unhealed me, I'm realizing now that I'm doing a lot of the things that he wanted to do, but did not have the means to do. I know that I don't want that to sound like materialistic, like I'm just out here searching for things, like material things to like ease the pain of who I used to be. But little me wanted a lot of things, and kind of going back into the conversation about not feeling like you deserved good things because bad things always happen.
Yep.
I lived in that bubble for so long that when it finally popped, I was like, now I get to really treat myself, and now I'm going to continue to do that.
Yes.
Because that's part of the healing journey. Is you have to give, little you, unhealed you, whomever it may be. Right now for me, it's little me.
Little you.
I have to give him, I feel like not necessarily give, but I have to heal him by feeling him in everything that I do.
Yes.
So when I go on these road trips, and when I go to these concerts, and I go to all these different museums and places and things that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Like little me jumps out. Like the inner child in me will jump out.
Yes.
And he's like, wow, that was so much fun. And I'm like, yeah.
It was. It was. And I think that's so beautiful, because I feel like in a roundabout way, healing is all about coming back to who you were as a child.
Yes.
I really think it is. I can't drive that point home like far enough, because seriously, for me, I have found that when I dance, I feel so much more at ease when I do some type of stretching or some type of movement. And the funny thing is, little me used to do gymnastics, used to do all types of flips.
It makes sense.
Just flipping like, and it's funny because my one of my little cousins, when I went and saw my family recently, she was just up and about and flipping and doing handstands and doing all this stuff. And my mom looked at me and she was like, "That was you." And I said, "Nah, that wasn't me. I was more controlled." And I was, and she was like, "You think?" She was like, "Listen, let me tell you, you would not sit still. You was bouncing off the walls. But that was you when you was in gymnastics. You always talked about flipping and always talked about doing these things."
Yeah.
Like, I actually have a little ritual that I do. In the fall, I love to watch Stick It, the movie, because it's all about gymnastics. And I used to watch it with my mom.
Yeah.
And I used to try to do the flips and stuff.
Right.
So it brings me back to my inner child. And you're right. That there's no better feeling than doing what you couldn't do as a kid because someone decided.
Right. Someone decided
at some point,
like, we can't do that.
Like,
you don't deserve to do that.
Yeah.
You don't get to do that.
Like, and why? I think it's an interruption, because I really feel like all the times that I experienced something that I didn't want to experience, I was either smiling, had a lot of joy, laughing, and it was interrupted in some capacity.
Right.
And so that's where that frame of mind comes. Oh, I can't be happy. I have to be sad. I have to be depressed. I have to isolate myself because my joy is a disruption for these people, you know? And that's where that also ties into it. When you take yourself out or take your little me and you decide, okay, I'm going to do this because I want to. Not because it's going to spite you or it's going to spite you, but because it's doing something for me that I did not get to experience. And it makes me feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then too, I also think that as part of the healing journey for little you, there's always like mentioning the release. There's always the release in it. Like that was so much fun. Like
That's the
what's
best part.
next?
That's the best part.
Like
What's next?
what's
What we
next?
doing next?
What we doing next?
We
And then I
doing
get
more?
to right. And I get to feel all the things he should have felt.
That's beautiful.
I feel everything. Like I have a lot of empath moments as of recent. I've been having a lot of empath moments as of recently.
Me too.
We're really getting in tune with unhealed me and little me. Give you an example. I have a nephew. He's 6 years old.
Yeah.
And last month at the beginning of August, we went to Columbus, and we in Columbus in Eastern Mall. There's this place called Legoland.
Yes.
As a child, I always loved Legos. I love the big fat ones though. I love the big brick Legos. I cannot tell you why, but my
knowing
brain
you,
was
I know that you did.
My brain was so fascinated with them. I loved them. And I think in between ages 5 and 7, I had a big brick Lego set. And I used to just stack them bitches on top of each other, like in my bedroom, and didn't no care in the world because it was just me. I was in my sanctuary, and that was what was fun to me. Somehow, some way, they got lost in the move, and I was sad about it for a very long time.
Oh.
So I remember going up there to Legoland, and I felt little me start to come out. Like
really?
I felt like I can't explain it, but it's like when you say a shedding of skin, that's what it feels like.
Yes.
It feels like it feels like he's like pushing himself to the forefront of my face. Like
yeah, it can be like that. It can be like that.
Like example, like have you seen Moon Knight on Disney Plus?
I still ain't finished it, but yes, I know what you mean.
So
I think I got what you're saying.
Mark and Steven, when they switch inside of that body, that's what it's like for me.
Okay, I feel you.
And that's what it felt like. As soon as like there was this part of Legoland where you can like take a bunch of Legos and you can like build like a little race car with them. And I was doing that with my 6-year-old nephew, having the time of my life. I was so lost and immersed into it that I forgot I was an adult. Like I'm looking, I'm thinking to myself, like, while little me is at the forefront of my mind, I'm thinking to myself in the back of my mind, like, I'm really in here at my big grown age surrounded by all these parents and they churn, playing with Legos and sitting up here racing these little Lego race cars with my 6-year-old nephew. And I'm loving it.
Exactly.
Every bit of it.
Exactly.
So much so to the point where I felt little me get so excited that big me got so overwhelmed I started to cry a little bit.
Aww.
Like legitimately, a couple tears streamed down my face. I was like, damn, I wish I could have had this as a child. But I am so happy
that you can have it now.
I am so happy that not only do I get to have it, but I get to watch other children have it too.
Exactly.
I get to watch other people, other parents and stuff like that be able to make memories like that with their kids because I did not get to have stuff like this.
I definitely understand where you're coming from. I totally get it because I just had a moment where I had went to for Labor Day weekend. This is when, like I said, I've been dealing more so with my anxiety as little me.
Yeah.
And I've been very vocal about it now. Like before, I used to just kind of shut down.
Right.
And that was happening as an adult, and even as a teen, I was just shutting down.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have. It's not that I didn't have the words. It's just that every time I said the words, it was almost like it was to the wrong crowd. It was almost like I wasn't. I just didn't feel heard.
I felt that. It feels like a language that you're speaking to someone who cannot translate it.
Yes, exactly like that. So my mom and I have had the biggest healing experience over the past couple of years. And that was one of the big relationships that I always wanted to be closer with her. I always wanted to just confide in her more, and I've told you about that. But like when I was there for Labor Day weekend, I was like on edge before going. And I remember telling myself, why are you tripping? You done already healed with her. We done already had the heavy conversations. Ain't nothing bad happening. The only thing you nervous about is driving, and that's okay. We gonna figure that shit out.
Right.
And I get there, And I start to have more anxiety over my part in my family.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to realize I still got little me, unhealed me, that's holding on to this, oh, you're obnoxious, nobody likes you, da 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 da, from my own family. And so I was slowly letting that go. I had my own little issues with, or like insecurities between me and my older cousin. I always felt like that dynamic with her and my mom was the way that I wanted it to be with me and my mom.
Right.
And I spoke with her about it, and she was like, "No, Janae, you I don't know where you're getting that from, but I can see where it, like she understood, but she let me know, like she reassured me that's not the case.
Right.
I can see how you think that, but that's not the case. She lives here, you know. It's different now, but I always felt like I was compared to her growing up.
Yeah.
So when we was talking about like our career paths and things that we were doing, I kind of shut down again. And I was like, why the hell do I keep doing that? Then we had a heart to heart. And I realized I'm making this up in my head. Like, this is not actually the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So when my anxiety started to flare up, I finally was just like, look, I am not irritated with any of y'all. I'm irritated with my place in the family and how I am struggling with overthinking about my place in the family. And once I told my cousins that, once I told my mom that, it was like, click, what's wrong? Like, they were engaging and it was so overwhelming. And I was like, but I'm good. But it's also like, yo, why didn't this happen when I was a kid? Like, what? How did I not? I wish I could have experienced that as a child. But it made me realize that it's all boiling down to communication. Because I can shut down all day long and I can go sit in a corner all day long and play with my dog. But if I don't actually say, hey, I'm irritated because I don't feel like I'm being heard,
yeah,
then what they supposed to do?
Right.
How is anyone supposed to help heal your inner child if you don't say nothing?
Right.
Like, and I understood where my mom was coming from with that, like me growing up and me shutting down and me basically going from, oh my God, I'm so happy, to, oh, I'm irritated now. I'm irritated. And she go, why? What happened? Where did we go? We was just happy. What happened? You know? So it definitely means a lot when we can take ourselves out of that frame of mind of like, this is negative and this is all it's going to be. And I'm not going to experience those good things in life. I'm not going to have that joy. I'm not going to attain that peace.
Yeah.
And we can fight back and say, no, I'm going to maintain this. Right. I got peace right now. I'm going to just maintain this.
Right, right.
Whatever way we got to do it, we got to do it.
And that's really it.
That Michael Kors purse right there, that was a gift that I was looking at my mom in the store. And I was like, oh, I really want it. And I was trying to convince myself to get it. And she was like, I mean, your birthday's coming up. And I was like, happy early birthday. She was like, there you go. And I was like, why wasn't it this easy? But it really meant a lot to me to be able to do it do it myself.
Yes.
Because when my parents did it for me, it was more so like, at the time I was being abused. So at the time, gifts and things like that were used to keep me quiet and used to, make sure that,
like hush money,
pretty much, or used to make other people think nothing was wrong with the situation. So every time, and this is the one thing that I hate because they started reminiscing on childhood and everything. Obviously, it's a family road trip.
Right.
And they started saying, man, remember when we used to do this? Remember we used to do this? I'm like, yeah, I do. I also remember that part of it too. Yeah. But y'all don't remember that part because y'all weren't there for that.
And that's always the thing with abuse is people think that you just forgot it because, something good might have overshadowed it.
Yeah.
It's like, babe, it's still very much
there. It's still there.
Still very much happened.
It's still there, yeah. And I think the thing that I can like kind of think is ironic now is that okay, so like we said, just because we did this good thing doesn't overshadow the bad stuff. And I remember thinking that this basically, I can think about it now, and it's a little ironic because of the fact that one of my abusers actually would tell my mom, if I had her life, I wouldn't complain about nothing. If I had this, I wouldn't be da 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 da. Like, oh, Janae's a bad child type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, like, after I realized that that was a person that was one of my abusers, I remember thinking, like, how dare you think that when you're the one that's causing me to, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from now. I see how you playing this. And I remember thinking, like, that's how people outside of the situation thought too.
Right.
Like, oh, Janae's spoiled.
Yeah.
Janae got money. Janae's family got money. You know, and it's like,
yeah.
Janae's family don't got money. Janae's not, that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
The house is different than what you, like, and just because, again, everything is not what it seems. And that's what I learned so much.
Yes, agreed.
That's what I learned so much over just last weekend and Labor Day weekend and learning all of that. I even said that to my cousin. I said, well, I mean, never mind. Everything ain't what it seems. So I said that because I was like, that's exactly right. Because I could be having something going on, but that person don't know until I say something.
Exactly.
I may seem perfectly fine, but you don't know until I say something.
That's right.
And that's the same thing for everybody. And that balance comes into play when you speak up.
Right.
Also. Because that's another way of maintaining that balance. It can be hard to do that, though. Because a lot of that is having those hard conversations with little you and saying, like, look, what we experience is fucked up. We ain't going to experience it no more. And holding her or him, wherever you are at in your healing journey, so tight and saying, I have to now accept that this is something that occurred, but I don't have to hold on to it forever. Yeah. I have to let you come out in whatever way that may be. For me, it's a lot of playfulness, a lot of yoga and flipping and, you know, singing, dancing, things like that.
Oh, for me, it's definitely singing.
All the time. Singing, hitting high notes. I'm like, yes, I did that. Singing to myself.
If there was anything little me enjoyed above everything, it was I liked to sing. I like to just play with riffs and notes and anything I would hear, like I would try to mimic that.
Me too.
Yeah, like it was easy.
Dreamgirls was my all-time favorite.
I used to love that movie so much.
What you mean used to?
I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't love it anymore, but I'm saying like in a sense of like when it was out.
Okay, got you. I'm like, wait a second. I still love it.
Yeah, I love it. I ain't seen it in so long, so it's like, but that used to be the shit. Yeah, and singing like anything. It was just like it didn't matter what it was. It was a release and it was an escape. I was able to put myself in my own kind of universe.
I think that's all it is when you grow up in survival mode or traumatic chaos or whatever you want to call it. I think it's all about escaping that reality. Because for me, books was my thing.
Oh God, the hyperlexia that I experienced as in between ages 10, 11, and 12.
Hyperlexia, is that the word?
Hyperlexia is
Tell me.
Hyperlexia is when you basically it has to deal with books, but it's hyper focusing on a book so hard that you can like almost see everything in the book happening right in front of you.
That was me. You telling me there was a word for this? Yeah. I didn't know that. I was just like, I get lost in books. I could be up there for hours and you wouldn't know I was there.
I have been on ADHD and healing TikTok, and they said that hyperlexia is a form of ADHD. I didn't realize that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they said that when you, like, hyperlexia is a form of it, and I really never knew that. Legitimately, I was like, really? Reading a lot is a form of ADHD?
But you know what? You know why? Because when you hyper focus on something, that's what ADHD is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I have like a love-hate relationship with ADHD diagnosis and things like that because I actually was misdiagnosed as a kid with having ADHD when actually I had PTSD.
Yeah.
Because they show up similarly, but the problem is doctors don't ask enough questions.
I agree.
Truly.
I agree.
And so I was placed on all those medications that basically for kids with ADHD when I didn't have it.
Right.
And I realized this as I was like telling one of my friends about it. I was like, So you're telling me, like, you really confirming right now that the way that I experienced it, me not wanting to eat and all this other stuff that was going on, that's not what somebody with ADHD that has this medication is experiencing. She was like, no. No, it's going to make you focus, but, like, it's not going to make you feel like a zombie.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, well, I was on it for 18 years, so, like, it's kind of too late now.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely would get lost in books. That would definitely be one of my outlets. I think that's why I fell so hard and madly in love with the power of spoken word. Because when it was first introduced to me, I was like, oh, what's that? Oh, I can't wait to do that again. And then I hadn't even spoken. It was me watching somebody else speak, and I was like, oh, I want to listen to this all day long, and I didn't want to do nothing else. And my mom was like, you like that? And I was like, yeah, sign me up. Let's do what we got to do.
Right.
One of the things that I really wish I could have done as a child was gone to a performing arts school.
Same.
Oh my God, I would have been tearing up the halls. I know it's not like High School Musical, but I'm just saying I would have been so in my element. I would have been so in my element because you're around people that are like-minded. You don't feel like you stand out, and you can create together.
Right.
And I think that's a huge part of my healing too. Is that creativity piece is so important. Like this is part of it.
Right.
Truly.
Yeah, I agree. It's. I think it's important to have outlets too. To be able to
balance,
yeah, to be able to kind of be able to immerse yourself into something, maybe. Because like going back to the hyperlexia thing, if you've seen the movie Soul on Disney Plus,
yes,
with Jamie Foxx, you remember the part where he was in kind of, I don't remember what it was called, but
the dark part.
Nah, not necessarily the dark part, but the part that looks like Aurora Borealis, where the people when they would be like get so immersed into something, they would go into the zone.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. The dark part of the movie.
That's what I think of.
Okay.
Whenever I think of having outlets, you should have outlets that do that to you. They put you in a good zone, but not necessarily like the part where you get so immersed into it that it becomes
consumes you. Yeah, because that happened. Yeah. And I thought I'd be thinking about that too when it comes to, especially when it comes to our social media and everything like that. I think it's so easy to get caught up in thinking that, something that I keep seeing on my Instagram is doom scrolling. Do you know what that is? So I actually do it. I didn't know I was doing it.
Oh, this is an action?
Yes, this is an action.
Oh, gosh.
Doom scrolling is basically when you're just scrolling to pass the time and you're not really... And we all do it. That's the thing. When I say that it's just doom scrolling, you just scrolling just to scroll, you're not even really looking at people's stuff. You're not liking nothing. You just scrolling just to look at stuff. That's called doom scrolling. Okay. Because you're not really engaging in the social media aspect or in the social component of it. Right. You're just doom scrolling. You're just looking at negative comments. You're looking at the commentary. You're looking at the Black Twitter memes and stuff like that. And I went down a doom scroll, but it was a funny doom scroll. But, I think that's something that's interesting because, a lot of people are addicted to social media.
That's fact.
Like a lot of people, the first thing that they'll grab is their phone to check their social media in the morning. And I try not to do that, but it's also somewhat hard because my alarm wakes me up. Then it's it's automatically my phone. So, but I get why doom scrolling is a thing, though. Yeah. I definitely do because it's mindlessly scrolling. You're not really. I watched this documentary about outlets within the social dilemma. It's actually called The Social Dilemma on Netflix.
I've heard of it.
It was really good.
I'm gonna watch it.
There was this scene that took me by surprise because this little girl, so they had like a fake family. You know how they always have those scenes where they try to make it similar to real life?
They kind of like reenact what they're talking about. Yeah.
So basically, they had this family that was eating dinner. The mom got real mad and tired of everybody just being on their phones while they eating dinner. Even the husband was on his phone, not even doing nothing, just scrolling. Not even talking to the wife. She was like, well, how was y'all today? And they just scrolling. Scroll, not listening to her, texting. So she got mad. and she saw this ad that had like, it was like a lockbox, and you can put stuff in it, and you can set a timer for it, and the timer goes off. It'll
unlock the
it'll
box.
unlock
So you
the
can
box.
get whatever you want.
Yeah. So she was like, I'm gonna buy that for my family. So she buys it for her family. She takes all their phones at dinner, puts it in this lockbox, sets the timer for like not even 5 minutes, and the daughter starts fidgeting. She starts tweaking. She's like, cause the thing that she forgot to do was turn off the notifications. Like, nobody got to turn off the notifications, so all the notifications is going off,
and people like, gotta check it,
gotta check it. And the little girl is probably like, she couldn't have been in middle school. Basically, she gets up from the dinner table and her mom is like, leave that alone, you'll get it in like 5 minutes, you're fine, like, come and eat.
Yeah, like
she come back to the table, she goes, oh, okay, fine, I'll try to sit there and eat. She's fidgeting. She get up again, she go back to the counter. The thing is still dinging at this point. She's getting really upset. She takes a hammer, busts open. She literally said, forget everybody else's phone, I want my phone. Busts open the box. And mind you, they're all just having a nice little dinner, talking and conversing.
Like they're finally doing what you're supposed to do at dinner.
Yeah. And this girl busts open the box and breaks her brother's phone in the process and doesn't care.
Yikes.
She like smashes the screen to get her phone, runs up the stairs, and the mom was like, oh my God, we need to do something. And the whole documentary is all about how social media is used to control us on some level.
Mm-hmm.
Like that little notification that we get where, oh, they posted something, oh, they liked something. It may not even be real. Like, that's what they were saying. They were saying that a lot of the times it's an algorithm. We all know that.
Right.
But the scary part about it is that it could be like that person left you on red type of thing to incite that fear. Like, oh, they haven't checked their phone in like 15 minutes. I'm going to make them check their phone.
Yeah.
And that's where we got to balance the use of social media too, especially with healing.
Yes.
Because there's so much wrong information out there about healing as far as what works best. You know, everybody's trying to say what works best, and you don't really know unless it's for you.
Right. Everybody's healing is different.
Everything don't apply. Everything just does not apply. So that's why I say balance is so important, because you figure out what applies to you and what doesn't.
Right.
What I can fuel with myself, or what I can, glean from this, and take what resonates with you and not what resonates with everybody else, just because you're like, oh, that applies to me because I want it to apply to me, when it actually doesn't.
Right.
That's the hard part of balancing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel that social media plays a role in that balance?
I mean, I do think that it can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do see the beauty in it.
I see it too.
I see the beauty in it.
I see the dangerous side and the beauty.
Because in the danger, people have found a way to maximize it and turn it into something beautiful.
That is true.
Which is why, like, when I say, like, I'm on different sides of the internet that have to do with mental illness and how to heal from it, how to process it. Because a lot of the things that I see, like, that's why they call it a For You page. It's literally
it's for you.
And the things that I'm seeing literally are for me. And
they be scaring me sometimes.
I know.
I be like, excuse me?
I'm like, bro, why did you call me out like that?
And we're all living the same life.
Yeah.
Like
we literally all live the same life.
All of these things that I done seen online, I'm like, didn't I just talk about that at some point in my life?
Just thinking about that?
Why do you know?
Right. Why do y'all know me better than me?
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
In that, I see the negative and the positive, the danger, and
the yin and yang of it all.
Yes, the literal yin and yang.
Yes.
You gotta be able to just kind of filter things out, because
I think
social media is wild.
Who? You telling me? I think we got, so just to like keep us all on track of what we're talking about with the balance. We talked about release, having outlets, and filtering out within the social media realm. What was the other topic that it was the first thing. It was literally the first thing.
Scales.
Scales, yes. How did I forget? That's supposed to be my sign. How did I forget?
It is, yeah. Scales.
Scales. Balances. I think as a Libra, I've always wanted balance, but I think now I'm at a place in my life where I can actually say, okay, I have balance. Like, in a sense, for me, like, I think one of my biggest things was always getting overly emotional about things.
Yes.
And taking everything so personal as an empath and feeling like, oh, they did that to me and I need to react on it all the time. One of the big things for me that has allowed me to have balance and maintain my peace is basically the art of detachment and understanding, like, I don't have to react on every feeling that I have.
Right.
Because it's not always necessarily good.
Right.
Because that's not beneficial to me, for me to be having an anxiety attack and then taking it out on somebody else unintentionally. Yeah. And then I have to do the apology tour of, hey, look, I was having a bad day. Mm-hmm. And you can't always take that stuff back.
Exactly.
You really can't.
Exactly. I agree. Wow, like that was real. That was real.
That one you need to.
That was real, and it's real because, and it's so real because I relate to it so much.
Really?
Like, as a Pisces, like, Pisces are known for just how absolutely big, huge crybabies we are. Like, don't ever let a Pisces tell you they don't feel their feelings, because we do, and we feel them hard.
Oh, I know. Trust me.
I know. It is disgusting how hard we feel them. And that might not apply to every Pisces, but every Pisces I've ever met, it's applied. It has applied.
The Pisces that I have met, yes, they feel very hard.
Yes.
And the thing is, I think they try to, or at least the Pisces that I have interacted with, they try to act like they're not feeling as much as they are. Like that nonchalantness. Yep. But the thing is, in the next 2 seconds, it's like, so you just not gonna respond? Like, you so you just not gonna respond to my nonchalantness because I'm really just trying to get you to answer me.
I'm really just trying to get your attention. Like, that's what we do. That's what we do. We so we so petty like that. We so, I don't even know. I'm going to find the word.
You're attention seeking, maybe?
We kind of are. Like, we just are.
But it's not necessarily a bad thing, because I think, me, myself being a Libra, I think there was a time where I sought attention, especially if I didn't feel heard.
Yeah.
But that's a difference. But I think I can recall there was a time when, like I said, my biggest thing was I constantly was texting people because I was looking for a connection.
Yeah.
At a time when I didn't have anyone to connect with around me, I felt isolated, those type of things, especially growing up.
I still do that.
Yeah. But I've had to, refrain from blowing people's phones up because I used to do that. Or at least in my opinion, I used to do that.
Yeah.
And then it was drawn to my attention when I was in high school that, you texting this person too much. Chill out. You crazy. You know what I mean? And it's like, damn, I don't want to come off like that. So, if I double text, I'm always like, was that okay? You know what? Nah, it's okay. It's all right. I have to, tell myself that it's okay because of that condition. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's another form of maintaining the peace that I already have. Because when you've already been, like I said, like we said at the beginning, when you've had that condition of you're going to keep getting snakes and you're going to keep having bad things happen, it's easy for you to also put yourself in that predicament and say, this is because I'm doing this is going to be bad.
Right.
So, and that's where we got to shed that.
Yeah, I
Truly.
agree. I agree.
That's exactly right. Because I think it's challenging, at least for me, when I think about it like that, and I feel like I used to feel like I felt too much, I cared too much.
Yes, I agree.
And I used to feel like I'm texting way too much, man. Like I'm sending you a whole paragraph and you just said, "Okay, okay, I won't do that again." Like okay, and I feel like that doesn't apply to everyone, but for those of y'all who have done that, y'all know where I'm coming from. Y'all know exactly where I'm coming from. That don't feel good.
It doesn't really.
For you to give your feelings and then basically get less of a response.
Yeah, like if I pour my heart out, why not even give the time of day to at least try to hear me out?
Exactly.
But then also too, when you are a big feeler, like when you feel a lot, typically you get shut down.
That's true.
Which will put you in shutdown mode, and that's even worse. That's even worse.
Talk about it. Let's get uncomfortable. Talk about it.
That's way worse. I guess I could say, like, growing up in a very, very much, very kind of heteronormative household, being the only boy in a heteronormative household, I was not allowed to feel things. I couldn't feel things. I went through moments where I was legitimately kind of like sad for myself over a lot of the things that I was doing at that time or used to do. And I didn't feel like I was able to express that sadness. And I only bring this up because it kind of applies, but I remember one time I was told that I needed to get over it, quote unquote, get over it, because nobody was going to feel sorry for me. And that never left my brain.
That never left my brain either.
Yeah.
My mom actually was the one who said that to me quite a bit.
Yeah. It
just, a lot.
Yeah. And stuff like that sticks.
It does. And that's why I said you can subconsciously, unconsciously, like, internalize it and lose yourself in the process. And that's honestly what healing is all about, finding yourself again and coming back to that playfulness, coming back to those releases and those things that make you you.
Right.
Because it's all about a disruption that someone decided, oh, I'm going to say this. And a lot of times, maybe they didn't actually mean to do it intentionally, you know? Because we can't say, oh, that person said that and that's that. Because I've also learned that too.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, well, one shoe fits all. Because that's not the case.
Okay.
They could have been going through their own thing too. But that doesn't make it okay for what they said. It's just the reality is we all experience life in different ways.
Right.
So if we're all trying to attain balance in some way, then maybe they're feeling the way that they're feeling and you're feeling the way that you're feeling. Not saying that it negates it.
Right.
Not saying that at all.
Right.
But that is the reality of the situation. And you then choose to dress your wound how you want to dress your wound.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Scars to your beautiful.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Scars to your beautiful.
Is that a song?
Yeah.
Oh, is that Beyonce?
No, baby. Scars to your beautiful.
Oh, is that
That's Alessia Cara.
That's it. I didn't want to say her name wrong. I didn't want to say her name wrong. But yes.
Yeah.
I love that song, actually. How did I say Beyonce? It's okay.
Alessia Cara makes a lot of good music
like that. She does.
Yeah.
You know who also makes good music like that? Kiana Lede? Kiana
Lede, I believe is her name.
Yeah.
Lede. Yeah.
She makes some good music.
I'm going to get into it.
You don't know her?
I know of her, but I haven't gotten into it. So I got to get into it, yeah.
You got to listen to... It's a song that talks about, like, it's just one of those days, like, she's going to be okay, but then she'll get through it. It's just one of those days. Just let her feel what she needs to feel, basically.
Yeah.
I feel like that sums up what healing is in its entirety. You have to feel whatever it is that you need to feel. And that's a part of keeping balance, too.
And I realized that when during my trip to Legoland, believe it or not, is when I realized I have to allow myself to start really feeling, because even throughout my healing journey, when after I had that moment, I kind of realized I wasn't really allowing myself to feel. I wasn't really allowing myself to feel, or not even. I wasn't allowing myself to feel, but I was allowing myself to feel every bit of the feelings I was feeling. I was only allowing myself. I'd be like, okay, Antwonn, that was enough. We're good. We felt it now. We're good. Let's stop there. That's enough.
How the heck do I know exactly what you're talking about?
Yeah,
I never allowed myself to feel it either. Like, the big reason why I even started this whole process and this whole part 2 of like my healing journey was because I realized, like, I have a lot of emotions. I have a big heart. But a lot of the times I was like, okay, we cried over it for a little bit. Like, with the passing of my aunt, I didn't allow myself to cry. I didn't allow myself to mourn her because I was so busy. Like, I still think of her with her big smile, but I did not allow myself to mourn her, not even at her funeral for real, because I was like, no, I can't do it yet. I'm not ready. And then I finally was just like, you know what? I don't think I was comfortable enough with myself to actually allow myself to feel the connection that I felt with her.
Yeah.
And that happens, especially when we live in a world where we're told that our feelings are too big all the time, reminded that.
Or too big for other people.
That part. If it's too big for other people, that's another internalization. Dang.
Because more often than not, it's always somebody, oh, you need to stop
doing
feeling,
too much.
you're doing too much, you feeling, you gotta stop
Calm
feeling
down.
like that, calm down, like, it's not that big of a deal, like, baby, but it is, to me, it is for me, and I deserve
to feel
how I feel in this moment, because it is a big deal to me.
Exactly.
Like, I hate when people be like, no, you're making a big deal out of nothing. No, baby, you're making nothing out of my big deal.
Oh, say that again.
I hate when people are always, they come to you and they say, you're making a big deal out of nothing. When in reality, it is you who is making nothing out of my big deal.
That is exactly
This is a big deal to me. This is the overload of emotion that that my body is processing. That is what is
a big deal.
The big deal to me. This is what is in my core at this moment.
Yeah.
It is not going to be the center of my core, but it is in the core of me right now.
Of this moment, and I need you to at least acknowledge that. If you cool with me, if we friends,
yeah.
if, you know,
yeah.
I definitely get that. 100%.
Yeah. I'm having to remind myself also that even with my friends, like, I have to allow my friends to feel the things that they're feeling. Because and oftentimes it might irritate me. I might get overwhelmed with, listening to them, speak what feels mindlessly about the same old thing. But I have to allow them to feel that, because that's what's in the center of their core at that moment.
Yeah.
And they deserve to be able to feel these things. They deserve to be able to outlet those feelings.
Yeah.
And that is important. That's important for everybody. Like, feelings don't go away. They don't go away. Everybody feels feelings. Everybody has them.
That's what makes us human.
Yeah.
And I lived so long as a robot. I lived so long as a robot because I was like, I think when you have a lot of emotions and a lot of thoughts about things, and especially when you have those intrusive thoughts, it becomes a lot. It becomes really heavy. It becomes like a pressure, and it's a lot easier for you to just be like, okay, I'm gonna feel this much and I'm gonna leave the rest for later.
Yeah.
But that later never comes because it's so easy to just be like, I'm gonna just leave the rest for later, until it comes at a time when you're not expecting it and it shows up in different ways. I think I want the last thing that we say for this episode about balance is that if you're going to encounter or embark on your own healing journey, allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you need to feel in that moment without judgment.
Yes.
Because a big thing about balance is there is no judgment when it comes to balancing whatever it is that you're needing to balance. Whether you're balancing your past self with your present self, whether you're balancing your current self with your future self, that who you're becoming. You have to be able to exist in the now and literally say, okay, this is how I'm feeling and this is okay. It doesn't have to be, well, this is bad for me to feel this way because I felt that way before and that's me doing the same thing that I did before and I'm being unhealed and it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
It could simply be, I'm in this present time right now and I'm going to feel this because I feel this.
Yeah, agreed.
It doesn't necessarily have to be you spiraling. It doesn't have to be bad or good. Without judgment. Completely no shame, no judgment, no feelings of embarrassment. Just be, just feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because balance is hard enough when you're judging and you feel like other people are judging you, especially if you're trying to maintain peace from having other people have judged you in
That's
the past.
Right. That's right.
Because that's always going to be in your mind.
That's
Those
right.
internalizations that we have brought up, I don't think y'all caught on, but it's always going to be there. But you got to find a way to work around it and maintain your peace for now.
That's right.
That's right. Y'all, this has been I'm about to say the wrong thing. Let's get uncomfortable with Queen J and my bestie Antwonn.
Yes.
This was the wrap on episode 13. And you know what? It is September 13th.
It is, isn't it? Oh
yes,
my God.
it